Hi, everybody. This is I'm Tyler. Hello, and we're going to be doing a game, one of my favorite in the world, Fellowship by Jacob Randolph. And I'm playing tonight with the AsPac crew from the Gauntlet community, which you've heard a bunch of my things I put up. The Gauntlet community, absolutely fabulous. Love the Gauntlet community. If you're interested, go look them up. I'm telling you. You will find some of the nicest people in the whole wide world playing it with the Gauntlet, and it is fun. Fellowship, which we will be playing tonight, is fantasy in the sense of kind of that Tolkien heroic quest. It's a great and fast evil, and we have plucky heroes who are going to stand in the way of that, and with any luck, cast that darkness away. And we're going to find out in a moment who our plucky heroes are. But before we start, I want to say that, as with all Gauntlet games, the Gauntlet inclusivity policy is in effect, which really, to boil it down, means that we are here to support each other. We're here to have fun together. We are here because we're all friends. And, you know, part of that is trying to help each other out. Part of that is always being there as a fan to each other. And part of that is also being accepting across the board of, you know, of us as people and, you know, having respect while we play. Along with that, we're going to have the X card, which if any of you have not heard before, and for folks out there, the X card is a safety tool we'll use if something is just destroying your fun. If there's something that's problematic, something that, you know, could be just a little too personal, or something that, you know, at its heart, you're saying, this just isn't fun. This isn't a game. Something in a game I really think should be here, or I want. All you got to do, put up like this, put something in the chat, even say, hey, Tyler, I'd like to X that. No problem. It is for our use. What I'll do is I may ask for clarification just to see where we were at, but we'll rewind that up and we'll reframe it and we'll head straight on into something else. I always used to say that there's no questions asked, and of course there won't be questions asked, but anyone can feel free to come to me, to put something in the chat, to put something in our event. If they'd like to unload about that, you know, because we're all friends here. So if something, you know, if something comes up and you feel like you need to vent on it, we're here to hear it. With that said, I'm going to kind of introduce our players. And has everyone had a chance to take a look at the playbooks, and have most folks decided which playbook they want to play? All right, that's perfectly fine, Alex. We will give you plenty of opportunity to come up with stuff. Haley, have you had a chance to kind of look through them? Good. Yeah. So I'm going to start here on my right, which is with Sid. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what playbook you're thinking of playing.
My name is Sid. I am a dog person over a cat person, and I am looking at the Squire. Squire for me is like that Samwise Gamgee thing. The, like, you know, you're not meant to be a hero, but you're here anyway. And I particularly want to, like, my flag to you guys is that I want to be the character that, like, lifts you up and gets in the way of trouble for you and stuff like that.
Wonderful. Excellent playbook. Really, it's one of my favorites, and it's the hubby. He plays Squire all the time. Loves that playbook. Ryan, introduce and perhaps the playbook you're thinking of.
I'm Ryan. I'm equally a dog and cat person, but I only have cats at present. I don't know why we're introducing this, but fine. I will follow your lead, Sid. Okay, and I'm definitely going to be either the Remnant or the Spider, but I'm kind of waiting to see what else we have here. Remnant because none more goth, and Spider because you're just a freaky bug, and that kind of appeals to me now that I've reread it since Tyler mentioned it. So
I love both those choices. Both those really cool playbooks. Some of the extra stuff that Jacob put out after the main book, both of them are super creepy cool. So fantastic. Haley?
Yep, I'm Haley. I'm not going to publicly state my allegiance to cats or dogs at this present time, maybe by the 4th session. The two playbooks that I'm kind of wrestling between would be the heir or the pair. Funnily enough, they rhyme. I love the pair because I love the idea of two characters that are really, really interdependent on each other and basically can't function without each other. And I love the heir because I like the idea of somebody who's really burdened by the problems of their people. Lovely.
Both playbooks excellent. That pair, the newest of the things that he put out, and it's really interesting. I've not seen it in play yet, so an interesting choice if you go that way. And Alex, I think you say you haven't got a playbook yet, but let's hear your lovely voice and say hello.
Hi, I'm Alex. Cats all the way. I don't know why you would ever like dogs. Just putting it out there.
Oh, mercy. Oh, shots fired across the bow right off.
But stick by my morals, you know.
And just to set the record straight, cats and dogs. I got 1 dog, 3 cats. And so let's start kind of with you, Alex, to give a chance to look over these playbooks. Do you see them in the folder?
I do.
Okay. You'll see that there is a set with... It has all of the expanded ones that are there in playbook. So even the ones that have their own little special books should all be there. But on that very first page is where you'll see the expansion ones. If you don't happen to immediately catch them in the main playbooks, they have one there. But they should all be in those playbooks. So I'm going to kind of let you look over them, kind of get an idea. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to just hop in and ask me. So I'll let you work on that a few minutes. And I'm going to start, since Sid, you seem to be well set, and give Ryan and Haley a second to kind of center down on what they're wanting. Why don't we hear then a little bit of what the halflings are like? So if you want to pull up your playbook there, and you'll see kind of, look, some things like that. But I'd love to hear just what your concept is of what the halflings, the squires are like.
Yeah, I was like, are you making me be a halfling now? Am I not allowed to be a squire?
you mentioned Sam.
Yeah.
As the underdog, you must also be the shortest in the party. It's the law.
Yes. So, the thing about the squires, let's talk about them. What would you like to hear about first, Tyler?
Well, I know that in general, the squire usually will associate with someone else, and we'll be kind of coming to that once we see what the other characters are like. Mm-hmm. But I'm interested to know: are you a human? Are you of another race? Are you perhaps kind of the social, how you look and see the world around you?
I think I dig the idea of what were they called when you used to capture a cousin or a child of the ruling family, and then you would raise them in service of you. Yeah.
They had wards, and I can't remember exactly what the term is, but I know what you mean. Hostage. Yes.
Yeah, like the hostage squire. So and because people are looking to go either to the air or the spider or these really weird things, I think that'll give me the opportunity to get invested in these weird societies, which will be great. So yeah, I think I'll be a just a regular old human, captured and raised under some sort of different house.
Okay. Do we have a name yet for our squire?
Yeah, so I think his name is definitely, what have I got here? So there's I really like Sebastian Nodwick. But I think because I just carry things around all the time, people refer to me as Lug because I'm lugging things around.
All right. So Lug. And what's Lug look like?
We'll go for I think Lug is like a let's have a look at our world. I think he's got that kind of like that kind of like dark Middle Eastern complexion, like a short, well-trimmed beard, and we'll go with like short cropped hair that sits like just above the ears and just off the neck.
All right. Is he tall or short, well-built?
It's probably like Reiki, like tall and thin.
Excellent. Okay. Now, since we've kind of got a look at you, and I'm going to give you a chance there, you'll note underneath your looks and all that you have some agenda choices. And everybody's going to have these. And I'm kind of using Sid a little bit as the beginnings experiment for everybody else to see the example that you all can know what's coming towards you. So, Sid, you're going to end up looking through and choosing one of those three agendas. And you see they kind of give that outlook of how you present yourself and how you look to the world. Also underneath there, you're going to see are your stats. And everybody, you will all have similar stats. There are a couple of races, a couple of playbooks that have an extra stat, a sixth stat. The dwarves do, the harbinger does. The stats are not just what you're going to roll with, your bonuses to rolls. And this is a game where we'll use 2d6 and add the stat bonus to it. But it's also kind of your hit points. When you're damaged, I'll tell you to damage a stat. And you see there's a little box beside the big box. You'll mark that. And once you run out of things that you can mark, you are down. Now, this doesn't mean that you're necessarily, like, dead. But you can then have that kind of option of, was this that glorious moment when Boromir fought off a dozen upon dozen orcs and got the halflings away? Or was this just one of those times when Frodo got stabbed with a Morgul knife and it takes a little bit of Rivendell to get it out? It's but it means you will be dropping from that scene, from the action, and it will almost certainly mean that the Fellowship has to do something to help you come back if you drop all the way there and choose to continue living. That can always be a cool adventure on its own. So you'll see there that it gives you a layout for your stats that you can pick. And I want to mention also with our, just so we know the mechanic, again, 2d6 rolling plus your stat. If your stat has been marked, though, we're going to have a disadvantage system that adds to that. In other words, you'll be rolling 3 dice and you'll be taking the 2 lowest. Terrible. There's a few other things that could cause you to roll in, and they call it in despair. Now, there's on the other side of that, rolling in hope. Rolling in hope is when you and one of your fellow fellowship members, one of your comrades, are doing something together. When you do something together, you get to roll in hope, and you're going to roll 3 dice and take the 2 highest. I have, over many, many games, kind of narrowed that down to it is a very direct working together sort of aspect. It can be that you are both doing something separate that is trying to get the same result, something to come together for a result. Or it could be that you're, standing up in front of the ogre and whacking at it together. But the important thing is it does mean you're kind of acting together in a mechanical sense. That'll be your action, is the 2 of you doing something together. And in that case, one of you will take lead. You will then be rolling in hope because you're working with your fellow teammate. You'll make the roll, but both will probably be open to some vulnerability should something go wrong. So that is pretty much the mechanic altogether explained. So I'm going to let you take a minute there, Sid, to finish looking through the agendas and putting in your stats. And I'm going to go over to you, Ryan, and see if you have decided yet what you're going to play. And let's hear about it.
So not 30 seconds ago, I was thinking, fuck it, I'm gonna be a spider. So I'm gonna go for maximum weirdness and be a giant bug.
Excellent. I like the spider.
I put the wrong thing entirely.
All right. So taking a look at the spider and your playbook there, and I'm going to help myself by looking at that playbook as well. You have a name yet you're thinking of for your spider?
Oh goodness, these claims are awesome, and I keep waffling on which one I want. I am going to be Vero swallowed by the dragon Demethaz and crawled back out.
Oh my.
That's my claim.
Wow. I love it.
I am hardcore.
Oh my.
Or at least so I claim, given that spiders are good at lying.
All right. And what was that first name?
Vero, I will type it in the chat because
Vero. And
making out phonemes is not one of my strengths.
And I'll just put down swallowed, and then I will remember to go back when I complete my notes later.
Yeah. Swallowed but not dead is basically the point.
Tell us a little bit about then, Vero. How do you envision are the spiders a whole race? Are you unique of your people? Or are there very few of your people?
I think there's not a ton of us, and we're very reclusive, but it is a race. Properly, I think we live off in mountains somewhere where, unless you are really bad at adventuring, you don't come across us terribly often.
What do you look like?
We are Taric. Our upper half looks human, except that we've got 8 eyes. Our bottom half looks like a big old spider, and it's got kind of dull coloration, fuzzy body, sort of tarantula-esque, except there's a human on top. Yes, maximum weird, Sid. I am doubling down on this.
Oh, that's fantastic. Are you larger than human, smaller than human size, but with a big old, spider butt?
Our torso is approximately human size, but given that we've got a big old spider butt, yeah, we're significantly larger than a human.
Gotcha.
So it would be easy for probably multiple humans to ride on me if they really wanted to ride a spider for some reason.
Who wouldn't? Let's get a quick here then about well, what are you say they live up in the mountains? Do they hunt other sentient races? Are they hunters of, do they eat vegetables? Or are they all carnivores?
I had considered the race of the idea of a race of vegan spiders. I kind of love that. But no, they're definitely carnivores, but I don't think they target sentient species. Although I think that they're definitely not above the idea of eating sentient species that may die in the mountains. Meat is meat. We don't care.
Omnivores with a little bit of a casual view on the difference between eating sentient people and not. I like that. And I'm going to have you do our first command lore, which is there's a spout lore in Dungeon World, and this one it's command lore, which is significantly different in that you're going to tell the absolute truth, and it is all yours to tell. So tell us, what do the spiders go out amongst all the other people, or are they reclusive? And what do other people think of the spiders?
The spiders are pretty reclusive, and it's weird to see any of them too far afield. Yeah, they've got pretty much their own little area, and they don't venture much past that. I think that a lot of people don't think that they're necessarily real. They're just, a weird story of, oh yeah, there's Yetis in the mountains and there's giant spider people. And yeah, you're making all this shit up. But people who've actually been up there would know that, yes, there are spiders.
Cool.
And they'll talk to you, and then they might eat you if you die. I mean, they're not going to hurry it along, but, they don't seem to really care one way or the other.
Cool. All right. And we'll come up with where they live here when we get onto the map and get to some of that. But, okay, I like these spiders. These sound nifty. And you'll see that you also have agendas, and you have your stats there that you're going to get to choose from. And you have your stat array. So I'll give you a few minutes to look over that. And I'm going to go over to you, Haley. Do you think you've had a chance to decide on yours?
I'm pretty drawn to the pair, but I just noticed it says it's a powerful playbook. Does that matter?
No, but it isn't a statement of like it's exceptionally powerful compared to the others. It's saying that where the others are going to be able to choose if we get to high enough level to go into a Destiny playbook, which is an add-on playbook with it, the pair doesn't get that option. Their advancement track is just on that playbook, and that's the main difference. Dragon is another one of, the Giant's another one of those. There's a Harbinger that's also another one of those. But it just means that where the others can advance into a Destiny track once they get over 5th level, you're gonna be the pair all the way through.
That's fine with me. Then I have decided on the pair.
Excellent. All right. I'm going to write that down here. And
look at this min-max power gamer picking the most powerful playbook.
Then
Except,
what is the name of our pair?
So there's I'm kind of imagining a man and a woman. And I'm thinking that they are elvish in their racial origin.
Okay.
And they look quite young, like they look like they're 15 maybe.
Okay.
But how old are they really?
Who can say? Well, I mean, you can say, but who of us can say?
And sort of what I was mulling over during that time was that possibly they are twins that were conjoined from birth, and they've been separated. And so they've got like a scar. They've each got like a scar down their face where they've been separated, but on the opposite side, obviously. And they're missing like their one arm from the elbow down where they were separated as from being conjoined twins as well.
That's nifty. That is very cool. Do you have names for them, or do you want to think about that and come up with them?
I think the male is Aya, and the female is Freya. I just took them from the list.
Okay. So the first one was Aya? Aya?
Aya. A-Y-A.
I gotcha. A-Y-A. And the second, the female, is Freya. All right. Now, there's some kind of unique things about, the pair. There's a kind of, there is an interesting organization that they get to be working with. They're part of a kind of a bigger organization, and they're kind of I see them almost a little bit like super spies. They're like the ultra capable duo, and I'll admit they're the one that I know the least about. I haven't seen it played or played it, so we'll be learning this together a little bit. So if at any time you have questions or I have questions, we'll go back and forth on it. But what do they look like? You say they have an elven look and they look young. Are they blonde or?
I think they have dark braided hair, and I'm kind of was toying with the idea that they have matching tattoos that come off the scar.
Ooh, cool.
So the scar itself is sort of covered up by a tattoo that then goes over the rest of their one half of their face.
Is there a significance to the tattoo? Is it from their people, or is it from say, the induction into the organization?
Yeah, I think it's the induction into their particular like path in the organization. Like, you are a blah. This is the tattoo you get.
Neat. Okay, cool.
And I think it's like one of those, like one of those ones that like lights up and moves when the person is doing cool things.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's super neat. Tell us a little bit about the organization as you envision it. And we can be fairly vague. We'll do some world build to come up with stuff. But are you thinking, do they work for the state? Are they some mystic order? What are you thinking they're like?
I'm definitely going on the mystic order kind of side of like to go full tropey. That kind of like, we know about them, but weren't they all gone 1,000 years ago? Evidently not. Here are some people, like that kind of trope.
Cool. So kind of secretive, though. People have either forgotten about them and are they hidden themselves, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think they probably like hid themselves. Did one of those like, oh, the world is too full of things we don't like. We will retreat into our own reclusive ways.
Okay. And just to ask, are they are members of every one of the races part, or is it all just from your people?
No, I think it's every one of the races I think they probably have like little traditions that slightly splinter off from different races because they would have all known and thought the same thing like a few thousand years ago. But after becoming reclusive, the branches had less contact with each other, is what I'm imagining.
Okay. So there might even be a little bit of, having to find even some of your own organization people during the course of gaming here.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay, that's going to be a lot of fun to play with. You'll see that you have agendas, the same as everyone, but you have different sort of stats because you're doing for 2 different people. And there's going to be some things that work with you of when you're doing things together and when you're doing things separately. So, and kind of as an offset of that, your beginning stats are not going to be quite as good as everyone else's. But the 2 of you together make one enormously fantastic, badass team. So go ahead and kind of look through them and get an idea of where you'd like to push those. And the 3 of you can kind of start looking over there at the who are the or what is the section which is next as well. And that might help start informing you a little on things. Now I'm going to come to you now, Alex, and have we narrowed it down to a few choices? Anything appealing to you?
I saw there was a dragon, and I just went for it. So we got a decision.
Excellent. Love the dragon. Love the dragon. So I'm going to pull up one of those sheets here. For some reason, my computer's acting all funky. There we go. So, have we got a name for our dragon?
Oh, you bet we've got a name. Our dragon is called Nemenetheth, Child of Lava.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to hope that name is on the playbook because I can't possibly spell it myself.
It's not on there, but I added my own artistic flair to it. So,
why don't you write that up in the chat then, so I can. There we are. All right. I may end up calling you Theth a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Our dragon. Tell me, what does Theth look like?
I'm picturing like a really overgrown skink with webbed appendages.
Okay.
I figured instead of
Go ahead. Don't.
I figured instead of the dark green coloration, it would be like a dark orange with red streaks running down their body.
How large are you?
I I figured like slightly taller than a child, but not quite like a full-grown human.
Okay, so but you're a snake. Do you have limbs?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Got 4 limbs.
excellent. All right. Well, are there a lot of dragons? Is there an enormous race of you, or that you few?
Pretty few. Faith is the only one that they know of.
Oh,
Well, wherever we end up being.
cool. Are you well known? Do the populace know about you?
Huh? They know of a dragon in the area, but they don't know Faith personally.
All right, cool. There is a big element to the Dragons of Fellowship that has the fire. Fire is a big part of these dragons. How do you see fire for you? Is it that you breathe fire? Fire is part of your nature, or is it more like a fiery spirit? What does fire mean to Theth?
I think it's like a part of being and like a spiritual symbol.
All right. Well, that's cool. You say that most people don't know of any other dragons. Do you know of other dragons, though? Do you know where others of your kind reside?
I've heard the stories that there are others out there, but I've never met them myself.
Who
The
raised you?
records are pretty old.
Who raised you then?
No one.
Oh. Are dragons born fairly, ready to take on the world? Or was there a childhood you had to get through struggling on your own?
I figured it could be something like on the inside of the egg that was like dropped in lava. There were like inscriptions of like the dragon's history and lore.
Oh,
that all
fantastic.
dragons read as they grow up before they're ready to hatch.
Oh, that's very neat. We're giving an impression that you're kind of young, but that's for a dragon. How old are you?
Yeah, pretty young. So let's go for like 50.
Okay. All right. So probably for a dragon, really rather young.
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm getting this impression that since you don't know of many others of your kind, you've only heard the rumors. You have this inborn knowledge that comes to you. So what have you been doing for your 50 years? Do you roam across the land, or do you hole up somewhere?
Yeah, I've been holing up. I've been exploring like my stomping grounds as a child, and just now I'm venturing out.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. I think I'm beginning to see a little of that. That's going to be a really neat thing to play. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with this, Alex. That's going to be super cool. All right. If you'll take a look, you see, like the rest, you have your agendas and you have your stats with its stat array at the top. And I'm going to let you kind of look through those and choose them out. And go ahead and look over there at that, what is a dragon? And go ahead and get one of those picked out for you. It looks like maybe hatchling might be a good one, but look through them, any one of them that appeals to you. And underneath that, you'll see also playing as a dragon. There's a little kind of a blurb to get you a thought on how they envision it, but it's still going to be all up to you. Now, I'm going to go back down here to Sid, and I'm going to hear agenda and those stats, and maybe find out that what is a squire.
Yeah.
What is your purpose?
So agenda. I think my agenda is they need me. Don't let them go ahead with poor decisions. I have played with Alex before, and I think that making poor decisions is going to be a key part of our play. So I think, being alongside with them, making sure they don't go ahead alone is going to be helpful.
Okay. So you feel responsible for your fellowship.
Oh yeah, it's my duty. I'm a squire. It's what I do.
All right.
Yeah, it's which is like, it's weird for the least competent person to feel responsible for success and failure, but that's definitely what I'm going for here.
I think you'll come to find that a squire is often the wisest and most competent of all the people around. How are those stats looking? What you think you're going to take?
So, as a squire, my sense is +2, and I get another +2, which I think I'm going to put in courage, because I think that I am quite a couragey person. My -1 is going to be blood, which is the standing up to trouble and achieving things and fighting back stat.
All right.
Not very good at that.
Okay. And was that? What's your wisdom?
Wisdom is 1. Grace is 0.
Grace is 0. All right. And I suppose I should have kind of quickly gone over what these stats are. If you look at the basic moves, there are a lot of them that are associated with a stat. We have several of them that are associated with a few stats, and then there's finish them, which you could use with. We'll discuss what seems the right stat to use with it. I like that. I like things that use multiple stats. I just think that's fun in a game. And we'll get a chance to kind of play with that, especially in the finish them. Overcome is one of those moves that, kind of the catch-all moves in a lot of games. You'll find that I tend to call for overcomes, and I'll change it up off of blood a lot of times. It isn't always going to be blood. I just feel like there's times we'll overcome with different things. But the stats that we have are blood, which is, as Sid said, it's kind of standing up to stuff. In a lot of cases, it's kind of that violence of you, but it's also your association with your playbook, your race, your people. A lot of times, that's what it'll reflect. Courage is standing up in adversity. It's doing those things that it's not being unafraid. It's being willing to face that fear. Grace is kind of, it's not just dexterity, it's your kind of finesse and being able to, how lightly you tread, but also how well you dance, or can be how well you sing. And at other times, it could be how well you poke somebody with a pointy stick. We also have sense, which sense is kind of a perception-oriented, but it's also a bit of being quick on the uptake, a little bit of the intelligence aspect. And wisdom is your kind of deeper understanding. It can be from age, but it can also be from that old soul who just, it has a real sense of what is right and what is wrong, that sort of thing. So, and Sid, did you happen to pick what your purpose is?
I didn't, because I've narrowed it down to 2 choices. One is keep them safe. I'm here to make sure that you come back home after all this is over, no matter what. When someone you are with has you have a bond with them, I may take harm in their place. But
kind of want to hear what other people are doing.
Yeah, because there's some where the Squire's purpose moves are very much about facilitating other people.
Right, I can certainly see that. So we'll scoot on down then. And Ryan, what agenda and stats and maybe what is a spider?
So, oh my goodness, I have to make sure that I actually filled in these options. For stats, I excel in sense and grace. I've got a 2 to each of them. Got a 1 to courage, a -1 to wisdom because spiders don't get out much, and a flat roll on blood because we're more crafty than stabby, although we will definitely stabby if we must.
Cool.
For what is a spider, I'm not going to change that a motherfucking spider response because that's perfect, but I'm definitely the Tariq version where it's upwardly human, downwardly bug. We can crawl on stuff while also using our arms because we've got so many arms.
Cool. I see somebody can ride with you when you walking on walls as well.
Yeah, and when I get away, I can take up to 3 people with me because I am a great big spider. So,
Oh, that's so neat. And what agenda did you think?
I was looking between alien mindset and I hunger and hadn't quite picked one yet.
All right. Well, let's go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the waiting game also looks kind of cool, but I've got to narrow it down eventually. So,
Okay. Do you want
see
to?
what else other people have, maybe?
Okay. Want to take a minute then? That's perfectly fine. And then when we get back, we can, you can ask some questions to help narrow that down a little. Haley, we have a bit more for stats off of our pair, but what is your agenda, your stats, and who are the pair?
So each member of the pair gets a different agenda, which is what drew me to this in the first place. So Aya's agenda is all for one and one for all. And Freya's agenda, which is protect the Fellowship and the people they fight for. And Freya's agenda is Viva Revolution, which is you will do anything for the cause.
Neat. Okay, cool. Very cool. And what are the stats for the two of them?
So they both have a 1+ in Grace, which starts that way, and they both have a 1+ in Wisdom. Their difference is Sense, where Aya's got a +1 and Freya's got a -1. And Blood, where Aya has a -1 and Freya has a +1.
Very neat. Okay, and the rest, I think, fall out. Where's your +0?
They're both in Courage.
Both in Courage. Okay. And who are the pair?
So the option I picked was Fated Pair, which makes a lot of sense for them, given that they were conjoined twins. The two of you are inseparable. Not physically anymore, but still in the way they work. And I really like the idea that sort of came from that. Sorry, there's a plane flying overhead. Whatever magical force they use, they actually only have access to that when they are very close physical proximity to each other.
Oh,
so
cool.
When they're separated, they are literally useless. They are just their physical child selves when they try and do things. And when they're together, they have access to something more, something extra.
That's so good.
That is so neat. That is so neat. And again, it has as a special there, when you're working together, you roll in hope. And that sort of supersedes that thing of where I was talking about people doing tandem actions. In your case, you're going to be able to do independent actions, but as long as you're, kind of just together, you're going to be rolling in hope. So that'll be really, really cool. All right. And Alex, why don't we hear the agenda and stats and what is a dragon about Thoth? Beth.
Alrighty. So in terms of agenda, I went for honor and glory. Got to show people what's what. Let them know how cool dragons are.
Cool.
In terms of stats, start off with 2 in blood. Put a +2 in courage because got to be brave. -1 in grace. 0 in sense and 1 in wisdom.
Very, very cool. All right. And what is a dragon? What is Theth?
Theth is a hatchling, newborn.
All right. Your powers are simple when you're a newborn. You have limited control over your great strength when you unleash it. You add the dangerous tag to any attack you make before rolling. And that's a good moment for you to bring up a little bit of our tags. We'll see there's some tags on things that go along. There's going to be piercing. There's going to be, I think there's a messy in there. There's dangerous. Dangerous has the effect of it will hit multiple things when you do something that's dangerous. That could be your friends too. So, we'll keep that in mind. A lot of these things when you get out there will be a little big, which I think is very neat.
The smile on Alex's face when she finds out she could hurt us.
Good luck, party adult.
Well, I'm going to pop back then to you, Ryan. Do we think we've settled on an agenda?
Yeah, I'm going with alien mindset, which is be aggressively weird at people and devalue the things they hold dear. So I can do that. Woo.
I think that's going to be neat. Disregard the value of art, law, and social customs. You are definitely different. I love it.
We have our own culture, and we don't get out much.
This fellowship is going to be so popular with all the villagers. Well then, Sebastian, have we decided on what your purpose is?
Yes, see the world. I'm just here to go on a fun adventure. All this Overlord stuff is just an excuse to see more than your garden. Once per scene, I may ask one question from the look closely list without rolling.
Ooh, that's nice.
I think after having a chat to everyone, Alex, can I be your squire? Is there a reason your dragon would have taken a human on board as like their servant squire?
Yeah, I mean, like, if people are willing to serve me, that is like A-okay in my books.
I thought it felt perfect. Yeah.
Then
Cool.
that brings up a couple of interesting questions I'd like to hear. First off, Sebastian, how old are you?
Oh, I think I'm probably like in my 30s.
Okay, so you're no kid anymore.
No.
Okay. When do you think you came into the service of Theth?
Oh, probably like as a young child, maybe like wandered away from the village at like the age of 9 or 10 or something like that, and have just spent the last 20 years with this dragon.
All right, I think that's really cool, because it's going to open up that while you've kind of gotten older and a bit, the wiser of maturity, Theth, you've kind of remained young this whole time. But tell me, what made you take this young child with you, this 10-year-old? Tell me that moment when you first met Sebastian and you said, "Come with me."
Yeah, I mean, I think it was only natural. I mean, in all of the stories I've heard, dragons were like things to be worshipped. They were greater than everything. And so when I met the first human since I had been hatched, I was like, oh, obviously this person should be following me. This is only natural that this should happen.
Cool. Sebastian, you say you wandered off from the village, or you'd gotten lost and kind of were rescued, it sounds like by Theth. Have you gone back to your village since then?
No, I think that like originally I was too scared. Like Theth was this great dragon that was always going to stop me from leaving, and then as I've kind of gotten older and more competent and would be able to find my way back and that sort of stuff, it's just, I don't know. This is just how things are. Like, I don't think that there's ever been a reason for me to leave.
And as you've gotten older, what do you think of Theth's attitude? That sort of, I mean, it sounds a little imperious there. As a kid, it was probably pretty awesome to be around this being, saying, I'm the greatest thing on the world. How are you feeling it as a 30-something?
I think it's almost gotten like more paternal, where like Theth is like the teenager stomping around telling me that they're this great big dragon that deserves to be honored. And I'm like, oh no, of course you are. Of course you are, honey. Like, how can I'm just going to go and put dinner on. Do you mind just being a big dragon in the other room for a second?
I love it. Oh, I love it. Okay.
I think it's real affection. Like I
like that. Yeah, and I love the idea of the kind of switch that would have happened in this relationship, I think that's going to end up being a lot we could play with. And we're going to get to our bonds here in a minute, which will help to find out everybody, because you all know each other. And as part of our kind of the conceit of Fellowship is you've actually been through a few adventures together before. We're not going to have a meeting in the inn and deciding to go off and kill rats in the cellar. we're going to have you've been around each other, you've fought together, you know each other. So we're going to come up with those bonds in a moment. But I'm going to have us go through real quick, and I'll come back up with you, Sid. Why don't you tell us your the Squire Corps? Just give a quick overview of them. And I believe you will get to choose a custom. And if you're ready for that, you can put that in. But let's hear your core real quick.
So Squire's Core is very much about bonds. So when I spend time with people, I can generate bonds really quickly, and then I can use those bonds as resources. So when I talk sense to someone, I can erase a bond with them instead of owing them a favor. And when I watch someone's back and keep my eyes peeled, I roll to overcome any harm against them with plus sense instead of plus blood.
Very nice.
Which would be nice. As for customs, I get 2. I think the first one is Will Make It, which is my bonds have this healing tag, so I can have a conversation with people, leverage that relationship that I have with them to heal them, which I think is special and important.
Excellent.
And my other one is Voice of Reason. When I offer advice to another player and they ignore it, I am filled with hope in any attempts to bail them out.
Wonderful. Love it. All right, then. Orion, why don't you tell us about Vero's core, and if you've had a chance to pick your 2 customs.
I have. My core is Wall Walker. I can walk along walls and ceilings of any solid material. As long as it can support my weight, I can run, walk, or cling to it without falling. If I have a passenger, they have to cling to me with both arms or they will fall. But since I got a whole bunch of arms, I still have hands free regardless of what I'm doing. And also, I have web spinning. When I prepare an area for an ambush, I gain webs, which I can trade to set up traps, which I don't have to declare what I was setting up until I spring the traps, which suits my refusal to think tactically. It's just when I want to do a thing. Suddenly, so it was planned. Haha, I'm ahead of you all. My custom moves are Weaver. I actually spin actual silk rope, which you don't need to buy yards of climbing rope D&D style. I can make rope. Woo. It's just kind of sticky because it's spider silk. And that also means that my traps all have the area tag. So I am an area of effect machine.
Oh, that's nice.
Super gross.
And, yeah, I'm super gross. Ha. And my other custom move is Predator. So if I study someone closely, I automatically gain the ability to put a trap on them or a place or whatever, because I'm always sizing people up to see if I can stick them in my mouth. The end.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, cool. Well then, Haley, why don't we hear the paired core? You've got quite a few, but just kind of cut through them quickly, a little overview, and then your paired custom.
Yeah, so the pair core moves are about, the first one is basically you work together and you can stay together or split up as you like, but bonds are the same for both of you because you have the same opinion about people and they have the same opinion about you. You don't split it up. The second one is just the rules for working alone and working separately. So working together, sorry. So when we work together, they are one unit acting in harmony and you add their stats together. When they're working alone, then they roll their stats separately.
Nice.
And then heroic association, that was sort of mentioned before, the association they come from is what the pair commands the law about. And then daring devils, when you need a cool prop appropriate to your environment, like a chandelier to drop, a window to leap out, or a vine to swing from, it's there. And when you use terrain to protect you, you may overcome using grace instead of blood.
Ooh, very cool.
And the custom move I picked was Heroes of the People. You do not need to roll to speak softly with common folk, friends, or co-workers. Simply ask and they will answer.
Ooh, that's really nice. That's a cool one. I'm looking forward to seeing this playbook. I really am. I'm very excited that you chose to do this one. And Alex, why don't we hear the Dragon's Core and the Dragon Customs? You choose 4 custom moves.
Yeah, there's a lot of choice to go through.
Yeah, and again, you could feel free to take, if there's some that are calling to you now, and as we're going through and doing our world building, getting set up, you could keep looking through them if you haven't quite decided. But tell us about your core and if you've had some customs you like.
Right. So the core is Champion of Fire. Do not have my own people. Once did, but no longer. Instead, I can command lore about the glory of the dragons, their place in the world, and the magnificent feats that they have performed throughout history. And the second part of that is there's 11 moves, and I get to choose 4 of them.
And any of them you calling to you yet?
I think I got to roll with Through the Fire and Flames. Haven't decided solidly on anything else quite yet.
Okay, that's fine. Just keep, take a look through them and decide what you're gonna, over the next little bit. And we can even, you can start pulling them out kind of in play as well, since you have a lot of choices. And we'll get those defined down fairly quickly, though. Now, we're going to go into our bond set. And you'll also notice on that page we have our gear. And I'm going to give a quick explanation of gear. I'm trying to kind of give these, there are some rules to the game. And I'm hoping I could kind of give them out as we're coming to them. And hopefully we'll have a good view of it by the end. But gear, in this game, you're going to see they have little boxes beside them. These are all the things that you have a hold of. If they have a little box to the right side of them, that's uses you have of them. And you'll mark them off. And they have, in pretty much every instance, they're telling you what they do. There is food, which is there's a move that we'll do called filling our belly. It's when we sit around the camp and we talk a bit and we eat. It'll give us a chance to do some healing. But with the rest of them, they're going to be tick marks off. And we're going to have to take an action called a recovery to get them back. Or, when we reach the end of a session, we're going to have a set of questions, and we'll have some options on there, one of which will be you can refill one of your equipment all the way to full. But you'll notice still only one of your equipment you're getting all the way back to full from that choice, and you're only going to have maybe it's a spread of 2 to 3 choices. Another one will be healing yourself, and another one will be going up a level. So those are our 3 choices when we get to the end of the session. So getting back your gear will be kind of hard. You'll pick up some more gear along the way. I'll have it for treasure bits. There's fellowships we're going to make with other communities. They may give you things. But with that recovery, when you take it, you'll fill up all of your equipment again. You'll heal yourself all the way back up. And I, as the Overlord, will get to do an Overlordy move, where I will advance my awful, nefarious plans, and terror will reign across the land. So there is a bit of a problem when we do the recovery, but we're going to find we'll need to do it. With that in mind, I think we're going to try and go down and do our bonds. And I think probably the easiest thing to do, I always kind of like doing one person doing all their bonds at once. But if we feel like we want to kind of space that out a little bit, maybe throw out a couple and you say, I'd like to hear what other people have, and then we can come back to you. But I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start from the other end this time and let Alex, why don't you do our first set of bonds?
Alrighty. I've not looked at these before, so I might need a second.
Okay, just kind of gaze down through them. If you'd like a second, well, I'll scoot over to you, Haley. Why don't we go ahead and have you take a couple of bonds, or if you'd like to go ahead and spend, you're going to take one with each of your companions, and then we'll have one after that where we talk about your bond with the Overlord.
Right. Just having read them as well, so maybe Ryan also should shoot if they have ideas. Otherwise, I will have ideas shortly.
That's fine, Ryan, and Haley, you get a bit extra because you're taking 2 bonds per instead of just 1 bond per.
No, I think it's just. Oh, I start with 2 bonds.
Yes, 2 bonds with the other members of the fellowship.
Yeah, both of them think the same thing, so I think I only pick 1 bond that they collectively agree with.
I think you're right. Yes. Okay, so Ryan, would you like to do your spider bonds?
Sure. And I'm going to lead with the probably biggest question. Blank brought me out of my home, and here we are now. So would someone like to have retrieved a weird spider or somehow caught the attention of a weird spider at some point?
Yeah, who do we think was the first of the Fellowship to encounter Vero?
This is a resounding silence.
All right,
Okay.
so that sounds like then that it was Beth that probably in
Spider mouths aren't good at these dragon names.
Just to get just for me a real quick rundown of the pronouns, especially Theth. Are you female, asexual? What are male? What do you view yourself as? I mean, you're the only one, so
Yeah, we don't have the puny things you humans call genders, so Theth goes by they them.
okay. I think we have a male and a female that we have for our pair. Ryan, what is Vero? Male, female? Is there a more asexual, or is there a fluidity to the spiders?
Spiders don't really care about gender a lot, and to people who aren't spiders, you can't really tell and stuff. So Vero doesn't really care. I mean, other spiders would probably refer to her as she, but whatever.
Gotcha. And I think that we heard Sebastian as being male. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. That was just kind of for me. All right. So it sounds like Theth was the first one to find you, Vero. What did you think of Theth when you first saw them?
I'd never seen anything like a Theth before and wasn't entirely sure they existed and had to see what they were going to do next.
So curiosity, being around, wanting to see, took you from your mountain crags, from your home, and made you wander?
Yes. Yeah. We are very good at waiting and watching. We can watch forever, and I have all the time in the world to see what Theth is going to do.
Ooh, I love it. All right. And Theth, just to kind of as a counterbalance to that, what did you think of Vero? Is there maybe a bond on your sheet that would fit for Vero?
I kind of like the idea of like, because you mentioned the spider people were like figures of myth, like not quite known to the human populace. Maybe they've heard about the spider people through like the old dragon stories and came to check it out. So it could be Vero has the respect of the old dragons.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
So maybe like the spiders are as an ancient race, much like the dragons, sort of thing.
And that ties really neatly into my claim of having been swallowed by a dragon and walked back out.
Exactly. If that isn't
may or may not be true.
Cool. All right, Ryan, do you have another bond you want to ask out there? And I think I made a mistake when I was saying that everybody is doing bonds off of it just straight across. It tells you how many bonds you have. So the spider there has 4 bonds with your other members. So you're spreading 4 bonds around.
Yep. Haha, so many bonds. I'm catching everyone in my webs. Okay, Ooh, speaking of that, I will never catch someone in my web.
Anybody want to volunteer for that one? And these can repeat.
Mm-hmm.
They almost have to. You have 4.
Yeah. Kind of have to double up on somebody.
Anybody going to jump at that one?
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever catch me in your web. I just don't think it achieves any of your aims. I don't think I'm like a worthy prey for you to hunt down and spin a web for.
Oh, so it's not even that you're too sneaky or anything. It's just you don't even catch my notice as potential prey.
Yeah, it's not a
That's such a
competency
fun
thing.
spin.
It's an effort thing. Yeah.
I grow more and more sad for poor Sebastian, who's traveling with this dragon that's saying, I'm the greatest thing slithering here today, and meanwhile you've got Spider there going with you, who just whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, I could eat you, but what's the point?
Yeah.
Well then, Sebastian, do you have maybe a bond to hand back there to Vero, or do you're going to have 4 bonds, so
Yeah.
makes sense you have one.
I think it's like, I don't know why, but Vero really trusts me. And I'm not sure if it's just like my interpretation of this situation is that you super trust me. You never try to like manipulate me. We've just got this awesome relationship going on.
Or am I trying to manipulate you and you just don't even notice? Although, given that I have a really low wisdom and I'm not good necessarily at lying, it could be just that I'm not good at lying. Who knows?
Okay, but I like that bond. So go ahead and set that one down. Ryan, you want to put another one out for Vero, or you want to pass the buck over to someone?
Why don't I let someone else do a couple and then I'll sneak back in with extra bonds? Haha.
All right. Well, Haley, you haven't gotten any in yet. You feel like throwing a bond or 2 out?
Yeah, so I only get 2. And I've got 2 ideas. One is from the listed bonds, and it's we still can't believe Vero did that, because I think the origin of that is that I remember, Ryan, you saying that your character has very little respect for art and culture and nice things, and I think Aya and Freya have grown up in a culture of immense respect for all of those things.
We have so much respect for nice things. It's just you don't have any standards.
So a completely different view of what is worthy of it. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think actually what Ryan said resonates, because the things that Aya and Freya find worthy probably aren't necessarily what you'd think, because they've also had a bit of a strange upbringing. But the fact that Vero would act like that anyway is still really offensive to them.
Was there any particular incident, any one thing that just kind of encapsulates that for Freya and Aya?
I think I have to throw that to Ryan.
Okay, Ryan, what you think? What was that step that they go, holy crap, I cannot believe Vero did that?
Oh, so you have high respect for art and that kind of stuff, you were saying?
Yeah, art, culture, and tradition.
Cool. So at some point in the process of weaving one of my webs, I totally incorporated some priceless work of art or tradition, cultural standard or something, just going like, whatever, it's a thing. It doesn't matter. It's like a stalagmite. I mean, no one cares. And this is terribly offensive because now you have to pry all these spider webs off of it. I mean, come on.
Just spit webs all over the statue of the greatest of scholars sort of thing. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's a guy. You can build more guys. I mean, whatever.
And Haley, did you have another one? Did you have, you of course can write, anybody can write their own bonds if they'd like. Those are just suggestions.
Yeah, I had a possible one for Sebastian, and I want to know what Sid thinks about it, because it's kind of a different side to your character, which
Beautiful.
would be Sebastian hears the call of our magics too.
Do I?
That's what we think.
That's awesome. Shit, yeah. I'm on board.
Sweet.
I do. Man. But like I don't understand your magics. I don't know anything about it. That's so exciting.
Love
Oh
it.
man, hey Haley, I have a move where when someone I have a bond with talks me through it, I can use one of their moves. So I'm super excited for the scene where you teach me how to use magic.
Yay.
And Haley, do the pair think that maybe Sebastian is like worthy of being in the order? The
Yes.
organization? Yeah. Okay. Neat.
And I don't think it's discretionary. I think it's like, oh, Sebastian hears the call about magic too. Therefore, they should join the order. That's how the order works.
Lovely. Oh, I'm super excited.
Well, that's perfect. Unfortunately, the interest that you've shown toward me, because I don't really understand this whole magic thing. It hasn't connected. So I think Aya and Freya like me romantically, but I don't understand why.
Ooh.
Squire bonds are great.
Ooh. I like
great.
that.
And they look like 14-year-old children as well. So they're like, it's like first crush.
Yeah. It's hard to believe. Sorry, not, but I don't understand why. But it's hard to believe.
Lovely.
Sorry, I just want to make sure of this. Your characters, they get bonds from us together, do they? Or do they get bonds individually?
I will be getting
Always
bonds.
together.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes. They get them together.
Cool. Thank you.
And
so great. I love that idea.
Alex, think you've got a bond you would like to spend out? I believe you've done 2 so far.
Only one.
Only one. Then yes, let's get another cool bond for our dragon.
I like the idea of I often bicker with Sebastian, but we would not last long without each other.
Hell yeah.
That is all
So
good
good.
with you, Sid.
Absolutely. When we really bicker, I use your full name. That's when you know you're
Good
in
luck
trouble.
with that.
Yeah. Child of lava. Come here this instant.
Oh, I love it. And just to, again, interrupt just a second to give a little tidbit of the rules. When I say we can work together to be in hope, to do so, you must have reciprocal bonds. In other words, you must each have a bond with the other one. We will have things that will take away bonds. Should one of your party members do something that causes you harm, it will break a bond you have with them. It'll break the bond of the person who got hurt. If there is a strong enough disagreement that it really feels like it's emotionally changed things, it can break a bond. Also, since our dragon has dangerous on a lot of their things that they'll do, there will be inadvertent moments that the dragon will hurt people. And again, that will drop off bonds. If you don't have reciprocal bonds, you can't roll in hope unless you're the pair and who always can roll in hope when they're working together. So, let's see. We've got all of Haley's. Ryan, how many bonds have you done so far?
I've done 2, so I have another 2 banked.
All right. I think that our dragon also has 2 more. And how many have you done, Sid?
2 with 2 to go.
All right, then. Well, Ryan, you want to give us 1 more? Or 2 more? Want to go ahead and spin your 2 out?
Sure. And I think one of them might be Sebastian, though. Who knows? Maybe somebody else will want it. Because someone believes in me even when I lie.
What do we think? Anybody trust the spider regardless of the lies?
Actually, I am down for that if no one else wants it. Because you're so like venerated and respected by these ancient dragons. Obviously, you'd never lie to me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be a trustworthy source about spider culture. So.
Yeah, of course.
Alrighty, and your last one, Ryan?
I just writing that down before I forget what was going on. I also need to copy paste in Menetheth's name. And more bonds.
And yes, strangely enough, I think you can teach Sebastian how to spin webs with his bud.
Logically, it should work, but it doesn't say that move isn't shareable. And a lot of my moves aren't shareable, but not that one.
I'll say that's magical.
Really weird oversight.
So, final bond.
A lot of these have really good implications, but I'll just go with the obvious. I like to wait and see what I'm going to say. Probably Ea and Freya, given that I have no bonds with them so far. Do?
Okay. Is that good with you, Haley?
Yeah, 100%. They have never communicated to anyone.
Do you think that, Vero, do you think that this is because you have grown to watch them and so you kind of want to follow their lead? Or is it more of a suspicion, like I'm wanting to watch and see what they're doing?
I think it's just kind of curiosity and the typical spider long game, because there are these two people who act like they're one person, and that doesn't really make sense. I don't have a framework for it, and I'm curious how far this goes.
Cool. I like that. That's a really neat bond. All right. Alex, want to give out your last two?
Sure. What's a cool one I can pick? I like blank is my greatest rival, if anyone wants that one.
Who do we think that is?
All right, we can take that.
Nice.
Definitely.
Do we think for Aya and Freya, that, you know, we know that this dragon certainly thinks they're the best thing since sliced, you know, limbus bread. Do you, you know, how do you think that that shows? What do you think how do you reflect that?
I think we're certainly a bit dismissive of the dragon, and like especially of the fact that everyone else seems to be obsessed with it. I mean, we know tales of dragons, and like by those standards, this is not a very impressive dragon.
I will come for you. You talk like them like that again, I'll come for you.
Assuming that's okay with you, Alex. Seeing as you're in control of the dragon, you get to decide whether or not you're impressive for a dragon.
Just give me 5,000 years and I will get there, okay?
All right, and your last one, Alex.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to go for my treasures are blank treasures?
All right. Who do you think that is? I see someone who it's kind of obvious for, but you might have a very different view.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's like a lot of ways this could go, because it could be like me and Sebastian are a team, or it could be like some ancient dragon accord with the spider people.
I was totally thinking, yeah, it could be the what's yours is Sebastian's, but also it could be that what you value, Vero finds really interesting and must have, sort of thing. But
Yeah, I could dig that.
Want to go with that then? All right. So, and I like that kind of interpretation of the bond. So the things that that Theth considers treasure, the treasures of Theth, are something that, despite the kind of dismissiveness of art and culture in the norm, it's something you, Vero, do recognize as worthy and treacherous.
I mean, dragons have standards. That's one of the only things I know about dragons. So
marvelous. All right, then. I think we come to our Squire Sebastian. Your last two, please.
Mine start getting pretty bad about this point. I don't know why, but someone really trusts me.
All right. Who do we think that is? I think there's a lot of options up for that one. Who thinks?
I'm happy for someone to tell me they trust me.
can I take that one unless someone else wants to call dibs?
Oh no, wait! I already gave you that one.
Oh,
Sorry.
you did?
Yeah, I just checked my list. I'd already. So perfect. Yes, you can, Ryan. Now let me do the other two. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna. Ooh, that's interesting. Haley and I have talked about bonds before, about like bonds that imply obligation, and there aren't a lot of really good Squire ones that imply obligation. There's like, I've bailed someone out of trouble more times than I can count. That's probably a good one. Who have I bailed out of trouble more times than I can count? The smile on Alex's face.
Well, I mean, it's the obvious one if you want to go for it. Up to you.
I kind of like. I feel like I'd like to codify a relationship like that.
Nice.
Nemeneth.
Excellent.
Nemenetheth.
Yeah, that's what I said. What times then I can count?
Brian, that's very funny.
It is. Now, I've got one with each of you, so anyone can jump up for this one. And I'm going to go for, I try so hard to live up to someone's expectations. Who has expectations of me?
Like, we have a lot of expectations in general, so it could fit, but up to you.
No, I love it. I love it. Can you give me like a short 30-second on what your expectations of me are?
Well, since you hear the call of the magic, then you probably have expectations to be in certain places and do certain things at the same time as we do them.
Right.
You're not fully indoctrinated, so you don't have to be there most of the time, but it's like, okay, at this time, you've got to be here doing this thing, but we don't tell you. But you kind of feel like you need to.
But I'm expected to be there. That's so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Is just for me, Haley, with the organization, with your order, is there an element of prophecy, or is it more like it's holistic? You are just there where you're supposed to be.
I think there's an element of both. I think there's some people who like rely on the prophecy as because they don't feel the compulsion, and then there's other people who feel the compulsion, and I think those are the people with our weird tattoos.
Excellent. Okay, that is super cool. All right, so we've set all our bonds, and we're going to take a break here in a moment, and, shake it out, get a chance to grab a drink, hit the restroom, that sort of thing. And you can kind of look over your gear. I'm not going to, we'll come up to that after we do our world bit and as we start adventuring. You'll see you have some choices in the gear. Some of them include animal companions, which I love an animal companion. You can feel free to take any of those. They're neat. They're going to have little stats. If you have an animal companion and you get hurt, you can instead mark off a stat on your animal companion or your friend or your follower, and they'll take that damage for you. If they run out of stats, then they'll start losing bonds. You always start with one bond with your follower or companion, whatever. If they lose stats and that last bond, in the case of followers, it usually means they're dead. But it could mean they go, screw this, I'm tired of getting hit, and they just take off. But in either case, it means they leave. If it is part of your main gear, though, you will get a chance to either respin that in its category, or pick up another follower, animal companion in that same sense that comes back. Those things in your gear list always will come back to you. But that's for animal companions. Just kind of look through your gear when you get some little spare time as we're going through things. But we're going to do, just before our break, we're going to do our Overlord bonds. And where I said it's kind of, you're choosing bonds for him, her, it is not that you're going to offer me one of yours. I'm going to tell you bonds that are potential, and you're going to choose one of them for yourself with me. It will mean that I have a bond that I can use to do nasty things to you, and as I said before, it gives you a bond that you can perhaps do things back at me. Things like, prevent me from, have me listen to you, or prevent me from killing you, that sort of thing, little things like that. So I'm going to kind of go through real quick my bonds, and people can step up and grab one that sounds interesting to them as I go down. I destroyed Blank's hometown. That seemed to fit anybody. Keep them in your mind. I have caused great harm to Blank's people. I killed someone important to Blank. Blank killed someone important to me. Blank knows the details of my previous defeat. Blank's people serve me now. Only Blank knows my weakness. And that's both a fictional thing, and it's a part of a mechanic here, because if you have my weakness, you're going to automatically damage one of my stats if we face off. And it will also affect my generals. I have fought Blank before and left a wound upon them. It burns in my presence. Blank was once my friend, and Blank secretly admires me and the things I do. And I think I've decided, why don't we take our break? People can kind of think on those. We'll do a little world build, hear kind of what the Overlord's plan is, and then we'll let y'all pick those. And then we'll get into play. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let's take 7 minutes. So we'll be back at 15 till. Sid, Sid, it is so funny. You're playing a squire named Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
That was also Patrick Squire's name.
Yes. It's a good squire name.
It is a good squire name. He played a red panda person.
I'm so bad at fantasy games. I'm just a human dude.
No, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I like the game. People kind of, I think it gets a bad rap because of its art style. Because a lot of people really kind of take it as a silly game. And when I've run it, we've done a lot of real emotional and dark stuff. And while I don't dislike the art, I think it does come across as a bit silly, cartoony. And I think that does a little disservice to the game. I do think it's beautiful artwork, though.
Interesting idea. I'll have to have a chat to you about it once I've had a play. I certainly haven't gotten silly from it. I've got
I've heard that comment made a good many times, though, from people who get the book and take that first glance, and they're like, "This is just going to be light, fluffy, cartoony," and off of the pictures.
Definitely got the sense of like the kind of cartoon I like, where it's cute and silly, and there's really dark, soul-crushing storylines that pop up now and then, where that's what I was all about as a kid, and still.
Yeah, I like the art, but yeah, it's been one of the more consistent things I've heard that kind of I think misinterpret the game. But regardless, I love it. So. What we're going to do now is we can pull up our map if we want to take a look at that real quick. And we're going to very quickly do a bit of the figuring out where your people are from and maybe get a little idea of what this world is like, what our little island is like. You'll see it does have a distance chart on it, or a scale. And so this island is about 250, 300 miles top to bottom, about 200 across side to side. So not an enormous island. But still, considering we're talking medieval, or at least I think we're talking medieval, it's still fairly sizable. And we're going to decide now what we want our world to be like. So looking over the map there, I'm going to ask a couple of baseline questions, and we'll discuss together how we want to set it. Are we wanting this to be like gritty, real Dark Age type Middle Ages era? Do we want it to be a more fantastic kind of fantasy medieval? Do we want it to move on up into a Renaissance kind of era in time? They even have it set so you could have it be, super futuristic. I think for our purposes, I'd rather keep us away from super futuristic, but we're way open for everything up to that. So anybody have a little thought on where you'd like this set in time and tone?
I think we should really leverage the realism that we have with a dragon, a spider person, and the 2 as 1.
Yeah, this is a really relatable cast of characters, and we shouldn't extrapolate it too far out into fantasy, because that's going to lose our audience.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
So we should really set it in like a New York high school kind of setting. But...
Yes. This is my favorite recasting of Heathers ever. I think because a couple of the characters mentioned like this interaction with art and like that sort of thing, I'd love to see like that Renaissance-y sort of world of architecture and artworks being something that's
okay. Everybody kind of like that idea? Does that seem like something we're all fairly good with? Okay, so I like that too. So we're thinking this is that Italian Renaissance probably. So we're getting beautiful architecture and the art. And do we think then that this island has a mostly one government? Or do we think it's split up into a bunch of little city-states or small princedoms or, like racial areas? There's the elf forest and the dwarf mountain and the spider undergrounds or whatever. What are we thinking there? Haley, a thought maybe on how the government's set?
I kind of like the idea that while there's this Renaissance thing going on in one part of the map, maybe there's other parts that are either not affected by it or like actively rejecting it, kind of like the actual Renaissance, where so I'm imagining for that to work, there probably does, maybe there's one central government that has like, 60% of the land area, and then the rest is like divided into little small enclaves of different things in power.
All right. And like this central government is the one that promotes most of the more cultural aspects. How do people like that? Sound good? Okay. Is this government primarily human? Ryan, what do we think? Is this mostly human, or is it a mix of all races?
I like the idea of it being a mix of races that just doesn't seem to include dragons and spiders very much.
That makes sense.
As far as Vera's concerned, it's like, whatever.
Okay. So it's not so much it's not so much racially based as in there's elven ministers of halfling judges and all that sort. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking culturally diverse, just not all the cultures necessarily represented.
All right. Well, we're talking then that we've got a kind of centralized area, but Alex, that would mean we have some outlying areas. What is the sort of situation out there? Is it like banditry, or is it just like nobody hardly lives there? Or what do you think?
I feel like it's totally got to be like roaming monsters, like patrolling the streets. So it's like really hard to travel between outposts.
Ooh, okay. I like that. How's that sound for everybody? So we've got our central government that kind of promotes the culture, but in these fringes and even, in the move between city-states, we have some danger that's always there. How's that sound to everybody? Sound good? Okay, cool. Just a hit. Do we think we have any sort of religion we need to do we want to put that on there? Anybody have an idea for a religion, or do we just want to say it's not really a part of our story? No religion? If anybody wants religion.
I come from an isolated spider enclave, and we don't fucking care. So that's on other people.
All right.
Yeah, I think my organization has a religion, but that's very not a thing that other people in this world know about. So, or
Okay.
at least not follow. So
we have maybe like low religion, where we have household gods and local deities and shrines. Okay,
yeah,
that sounds excellent.
awesome.
Okay, cool. Now, why don't we, looking at the map, Alex, with Theth, you were born somewhere and began your journeys. Where did you come from? Did you spring up in the more civilized area, or are you from the outskirts?
I mean, I'm seeing this island off the left, which looks like a mountain growing out of lava. And I'm like, how can I not?
I love it. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So you come from that island out there on our western coast with all the little islands and rocks around it, and it sounds like you're saying it's volcanic.
Oh yeah, totally.
Cool. All right. Well, Haley, the pair and the organization, where do you see is kind of your spring point?
I think Iron Freya are from like probably that place right in the middle of the map. Korriban. Is it Korriban or Korriban?
I think it's Korriban, but
Korriban.
I like Korriban better almost.
Yeah, they maybe. I think they're from an area between Korriban and this forest of wolves. Like, not they don't live in the thick of it, but like the biggest city on the map. That's the one that. Oh no, Lord Watch is bigger. But, you know.
Excellent. We think that's the capital of our overreaching kingdom.
I was kind of feeling it, but I don't know what other people think.
Does that sound good to everybody? We like that idea. Okay. Where do the spiders lurk?
I definitely think the spiders are indigenous to that mountain range on the edge of the dead fields.
I think that's
sort of explains why
perfect.
people don't tend to come out there.
Oh, that's perfect. Are you pretty much the only peoples that live there, or is there other races, people that exist there? Are there dwarves in those mountains? Are there goblins?
I don't think there's a sizable dwarven population. There might be some like stray goblin camps or something, but there's no real stable populations beside the spiders.
Okay.
Unless you're talking about like mountain goat populations, which we eat.
Perfect. All right then. And Sid, where were you born and began your journey with death?
So I think there's from is that Korriban? There's like a river that heads to the southwest, and there's a couple of like small villages along there. I think one of those, and Theth has made the trip to the mainland, rescued me and carried me back, and that explains why I've never gone home, because like I'm on a goddamn island.
Excellent.
And my swimming ain't what it used to be.
Okay. Cool. So that's where you're coming from. And I'm now going to give us a little idea of our Overlord. Borgia is, she lives to the east, beyond our island. There's a continent in that direction. There are sailors from your island that have gone over there in the past. It's not an unknown place. But over the last 20, 30 years, rumors have begun to come back of a power that has risen over there. And that a vast army has begun to descend on, all of these little outposts and villages and cities on this continent, as the queen of countless young have spread her brood. They speak of these warriors with their chitinous skin. They are humanoid, but very insect-like. Mandibles. They carry weapons that seem almost to be formed from that chitin that covers them. And they have just sort of spread across this continent. And so a few years back, rumor began to come that any ships that went over there would be some of these warriors that would come out to try and take the ship, and they'd have to sail away. And then they speak of the great spread. Ships began sailing from the continent to all directions of the world, as Borgia has sent her hand forth. And soon there will be nothing but her young across all the world. An armada landed at Lord's Watch there on our map and swarmed across its walls, sweeping in, and what you've heard, killing every person they could get a hold of, everyone who could not escape. Since then, warriors have begun to send parties to raid the coastline. They are led by one of Borgia's generals, Crixix, Kryyyxx, because that sounds appropriately insecty, doesn't it? Called the First Among the Endless. And he is sending forth these war parties. They come. Sometimes they take, attack anyone they see and kill them. Other times they've taken prisoners back to Lord's Watch. The few of the Endless that have been captured, they seldom will give up much information, but it's a time for harsh interrogations, and the information that has been gleaned from them is that the Queen has sent all of her finest warriors out, and the one who brings her the greatest prize will be able to be her mate and father of the next great swarm. And so, the people of our island, in concern, sent the word out that, we must raise defenses, that there must be something we could do to stop this. And so, the greatest champions, the fine primarchs of their kind, have come together. It's you guys. To face this evil. People have heard rumors of your band. They know that there is a fellowship that is trying to stand against this chitinous horde. So, you can expect some of them may wish to help you. But people being people, there may be some who try to use you for their own benefits. Despite the kingdom's attempts, the city-states are not always great about actually helping each other. The throne's grasp is much more social and cultural than it is able to demand these troops. And so there's a bit of a hodgepodge of the defenses, though they are, they have their walls and they are trying to defend, and arguably are all allied together. As well, there are the outlying villages further from the center, where there are communities who may not have even heard yet that there is this attack on the island, so remote. Perhaps if you can find the time to get to them, inform them, maybe they can help you. Maybe they will give you aid in your tasks ahead. Against this evil, there is great heroes who stand to stop it. And that is our fellowship. The game sort of says that I'm supposed to, yes, indeed, right there, you. The game sort of says that I'm supposed to give y'all all the information about my stuff. I've found that it kind of slows down the game. It gets too mechanic-y if I'm just every single time we're playing telling you all my plans and all my stuff. I'm not going to hide stuff from you that in particular, but I'm going to highlight things as they're coming up. I will tell you right off that you're dealing with that General Crixus, who is carrying with him the crown of the Queen of Countless Young. This is my Overlord move, which is one to rule them all. He bears a talisman of the Queen and therefore takes one of her Overlord stats with him. And he is a threat to the world. Mechanically speaking, whenever you make a move directly against a threat to the world, you will have to pay a price. That's a mechanic we'll be dealing with. You'll either have to mark off some equipment and tell me how you did that, or you'll have to damage a stat, as in how it affects you personally. That's what you'll have to do whenever you directly do something against a threat to the world. You guys can become threat to the world yourself eventually. And my Overlord stats, I have Deadly Sting, Flawless Chitin, and Endless Spawn as my 3 starting stats. These are absolutely true up until the moment you manage to figure out a way to destroy it. Then it is completely false. So my Flawless Chitin, nothing can harm me until you figure out that way that something can. The Deadly Sting, it's going to kill you every time until you figure out some defense for it. And the Endless Spawn will be there around her and her general. Up until that point, you figure a way to disrupt them. At that point, you've knocked off one of my stats. Once I lose all my stats, then I go, ah! And I'm dead. Now, I'm going to try and prevent that at all costs. And that is at least a quick overview of kind of what the Overlord is going to be like and his general. The general will have stats, and I've given from the crown the Flawless Chitin, meaning that his armor is impenetrable until we find some way to get through it. Along with that, he also has Bloodthirsty and Immensely Strong as his stats. They're easier to damage than that one coming from the Overlord. And my plans, I will have several plans going all the time. I'll have a kind of a clock going for them. I'll keep you up to date with his current plan and kind of an idea of what the others are. You will hear rumors of them. That's where I'm saying you're supposed to know everything going on. The plans we have right now are he is beginning to mount up his forces to invade into the main island. That's one of his plans. And his second plan, he is looking for a source of power. And he has found a well of immense power, which is, if we look down at the southern coast of our island, you see that tiny little lake there on the southeast corner that's inland. Inside of there is a repository of vast mystic power. I'm going to ask you, Haley, why don't you command the lore, since this seems like something that the pair and the organization would know about. What is this ancient magic that lies beneath the lake?
The ancient magic that lies beneath the lake is at the bottom of the lake. There is a perfect reflection of the skies, the sky, the stars, the sun, and the moon, unblemished by any sort of like dirt in the water or whatever. If you get down far enough, it's like a perfect reflection, even though it doesn't make sense because there's like filth floating on the top of the water. And that is about to go into eclipse. And he who bathes in the water when that constellation is in eclipse can seize the power of the stars and the sky itself, it is said.
Oh, wonderful. Cool. Okay, so we know that Crixus has heard about this, and it's one of his plans to get there and to use this magic. In a mechanical sense, if I gain a source of power, the Overlord gets a new stat. So every time I gain a source of power, I'm going to get where they're tougher, harder to kill, harder to stop. Anytime you grab a source of power, you will take away a stat from me. It will either be the one that's associated with the source of power that, say Borgia took or Crixus took for her, or if we find other sources of power, you can take them in it. It's going to charge up the fellowship. It's going to, move the mystic elements in your favor, and you'll be able to knock off one of the originals. Just weaken it out. And the other plan, which is him coming in to try and invade, those are called community plans, which means he will try and take over that community, subjugate it, and they will become allies of Borgia, or, well, could be dead and occupied by a horrible army. There will be communities that you guys come across, and when you encounter a community, you will get an opportunity to gain fellowship with them, and they will offer you cool gifts. And so that is that's the overview of my master plans. And I think that gives you pretty much all the stuff you need to know about the Overlord. As some stuff comes up, I'll tell you more about it. And now let's do. I know it's taking a ton of time to do world build and setup. I apologize for that. It's why I wanted to make sure it was a 4 run instead of my usual 2. How about we do those Overlord bonds, and then we're getting into play. So, when I was talking about them earlier, did any of those catch your ear? If you happen to remember them, or I can go over a bit of them again. We had destroyed their your hometown, had caused great harm to your people. I killed someone important to one of you. One of you killed someone important to me. Someone knows the details of my previous defeats. One of your people now serves Borgia. Only blank of you knows a weakness of the Overlord, and that knowing a weakness means that their stat won't apply to you. I have fought blank before and left a wound upon them that burns in my presence. Blank was once my friend, and blank secretly admires me and the things I do. Ryan, any of those appeal to you?
I definitely like that some of my people serve you, or that I secretly admire the things you do.
All right. Which one of those you think you want? Have the spiders fallen to Borgia's siren call?
Sure, let's say she's got spiders on her side, since she's got the bug thing going. Why not?
Oh, cool. All right. Sid, one of those appeal to you, sir?
Yeah, I have been Borgia'd before, and I bear a wound that burns. I think that might have been like what I was rescued from originally.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Say some early scouts of the Endless over here? Oh. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, Harry Potter now lives with the dragon. That's what I want.
All right. Haley, one for the pair there? Did any of those appeal to
Yeah,
you?
it would definitely be the one about killing someone important to you. Is that what it is?
All right. Who was that?
I think our mentor went to the other continent, like back when there were still people going back and forth to the other continent to like do the things that needed to be done in the other continent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I imagine put up some appropriately heroic last stand and got slaughtered.
I love it. I love it. So, you're well aware of how horrible these things are, and maybe you think felt the disturbance of the Force, felt the ripple of his death. Oh, I love it.
And I think the Endless now have something that is really important to us as well.
Well, I like that.
He had.
You think that's a physical thing, or do you think that in the process of killing him, they pulled knowledge from him?
Whoa, I like both options. Both options are amazing. Kind of like that it's a physical thing, though, because then potentially could rescue it.
Okay, cool. So
being heroic.
Some great symbol of this person who's the highest of your order, maybe?
Yeah. I think it's something called the Star Stones.
Okay.
Which rotate I think it mirrors the magicum. It's they rotate by themselves, and when they're in certain positions you can do certain magics.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's super cool. Okay, neat. And Alex, one of those appeal to you?
Yeah. I might go for the Overlord was once my friend.
Excellent.
You what?
Do we think that this is where you actually met emissaries of Borgia, or even spoke through one means or another to Borgia herself? Or do we think that this is part of that ingrained knowledge from you?
I think just after Beth was born, there was like a visit from Borgia, like trying to make peace. And so like the trying to get me on her side.
Okay. So you're probably one of the only ones who's actually seen the Queen kind of in full form. And I'm going to say I'm going to do something cool with it, I think. I think that as you were there, come crawling from the earth and down from the trees and flying from around, all of these insects formed up into the immense shape of the Queen of the Endless. And so you see her as this shifting multi-body of bugs, but she's big, you know, like 25 feet long, this enormous form. And you see her as she probably tries to, you know, flatter you. What was it that made you decide that what Borgia was selling wasn't something you were going to buy?
I think there was this rift between me wanting to rule as a dragon and Borgia wanting me to come under her. My pride just wouldn't allow it.
I love it. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right. So we now have these bonds with the Overlord. Again, those will come up later. You know, worry about them right now. I think what we're going to do now, though, is kind of get into play. And I'm going to do one of my favorite mechanics in the whole wide world that he came up with, which is the long journey. Because it gives so much of the work to you guys. What we do in a long journey is we're going to, kind of as a group, decide where we're going first. Kind of a plan of, okay, I think we're going to go to the lake because we know that he's looking into that Crixus is looking into that. Or we're going to go to the coast and try and stand up to this army that's invading. So those are our two plans that are moving. Then one of you is going to come up with a problem, something terrible that's going to happen along on the journey to get there. And someone else is going to then say how it was solved. Doesn't take roles. The person describing how it was solved can use any character they want to. The only thing that's important is we see how freaking awesome the Fellowship is in managing to get through this obstacle. And then that person will call us up, ask a problem, and we will have another person until everyone's had a chance to both ask and answer. All right? So, where do we think we first want to go? What would we like to be doing? Do we want to go searching for communities to get allies, face off at that lake, head off to the coast, or something else?
Magic Lake. Who said Magic Lake? I think that's a great. I'm a huge Magic Lake.
That was probably me. I have the good
Hang
ideas.
on.
Oh wait,
Did
that's
someone
my
mention
Night Witch's character.
a lake?
Sounds like we're getting some votes towards lakes. That sound good to you, Alex?
Of course.
Beth is all about that. Don't know how much you like the water, but you probably like the magic.
Oh yeah.
You can bathe in it to get more power.
I don't need more power, but it would be nice to have.
All right, then. So let's, again, looking on our map, we see where it is. So we see we've got mountains all around it. We've got a forest up to the east, north of it. We've got the kingdom through the passes up there. And I think we're going to be starting off from Korriban. As, you know, you guys have come, you know, you've fought your way across and you're well aware of the danger the island is in. And so deciding from the capital. And I think probably the king would have, at one point or another, have at least come to, I think it's probably going to be Aya and Freya to say, we trust in your order. Well, we said your order is kind of underground. So why do they trust you? What have you done to make the king believe in your mission?
Iron Freya specifically, or as a group?
We could. I like Iron Freya as a kind of our that point with our government.
I think they use their foreseeing abilities to catch one of the rare groups of the Endless that were able to be captured.
Excellent. So you managed to get the information about the lake. You have you've already done so much for the kingdom that you're willing to take on even more. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate that. The people are scared. You and this fellowship, you can bring the people hope. I will begin mustering the armies. I fear swords alone will not beat this threat. And so, do you say anything to him, or the other fellowship? You want to say anything, do anything in the capital before you head off? All right, then we will get into our long journey. As the people of the city, those that are aware of it, are happy to see you go, and say they're not happy to see you go. Oh, thank God they're leaving. No, it's our last and greatest hope, and so we will begin our perilous journey. Sid, why don't you present a problem that the Fellowship is going to encounter along its trip?
Why don't I? Okay. So as we continue, there's a part of the trip where we have to head through like a heavily overgrown forest, and as soon as the canopy of the trees blots out the stars, like it's so thick and large that it blots out the stars for like a couple of days. We see no sunlight, we see no starlight, and without that navigation, we get lost.
Ooh. All right. Who would you like to answer that for you?
I think I and Freya. Let's.
All right. So Haley, you how does the Fellowship get through this?
I think that Theth, with Aya and Freya, on their back, flies higher and more majestically through the skies than anyone thought was possible of the young dragon. And with their combined magic, breaks through the canopy of stars with like almost like a shattering sound and like a withering of the black sky into like a blistering ray of sunlight that breaks through the canopy, pointing only to guide the Fellowship to the way out.
All right. Oh, that's cool. And so, yeah, Beth, I don't know if you've taken flight as a power. You may choose to do so here. Again, we're kind of out of moves. But,
true. I didn't check that.
If you want flight, you could take it. But if not, we can, again, we're kind of out of moves doing cool shit that however you could do. So you got your dragon magic. You might could even have used it. But what's it look like when you fly?
I think it's like less flying and a lot of jumping and guided falling. So it's like leaping from tree to tree, gaining height, and just like trying to glide down as slow as possible so we can get our bearings.
Excellent. All right. And so with Theth's help, we once again get our bearings and begin heading towards our goal. So, Haley, your turn to ask. You would just ask a question. No, you answered a question. Your turn to ask a question, and then you're going to point out one of the others to answer.
As we crossed into the Hidden Leaf, we went to find a village where we had many good friends and expected good comforts and cheers. However, when we reached the village, there was not a single person to be seen in it. Each and every building was deserted. The food lay on the table, rotting, and the pigs and the chickens wandered through the village, pecking at everything they could find.
Ooh, who do you? So we found this abandoned village. There's potential danger there, and the mystery of what happened. Who's answering this question?
I'll throw that one to Ryan.
Oh no! So I'm just answering what we did about this. Or
Yes. What does the Fellowship discover about this? Get through this situation. What is the result of this problem? And you have the whole Fellowship to work with.
Yeah, so we can proceed through this village without any trouble because obviously there's no one here to stop us. But Vero definitely notices that there were other spidery sorts of beings here at one point. There's traces of old broken web. It's not recent, really, but she knows sort of what went down and may or may not really want to share that beyond that. Yeah, they're not coming back.
Okay, so you
move on to our next location.
So you don't tell them that you think it was spiders involved.
Yeah, Vero's not going to offer that information. There's bits of webs, though. People can probably figure it out for themselves.
Okay. Ooh, creepy. All right, then, Ryan, present us a problem, and then name off someone other than Haley to answer.
So, can't really see it on this map here, but there was a point when we had to cross a body of running water, and that is not at all Vera's strong suit. She is not one of the ballooning spiders, and I don't think that's probably our dragon strong suit either. And so we all look to Sebastian, who is the most human of us and capable of doing this kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah. Boy, so there's like this Ryan, how large are you thinking this water is? Like, how wide are we talking?
I mean, it could probably be sort of a glorified creek or something if you wanted. I'm thinking, 10 or more feet across.
Okay.
Not like the Rio Grande or anything, but, big enough you can't just hop over it.
Yep. And I think that like we see the Fellowship looking at this water and like it's Sebastian is like we probably split up and people walk up and down the banks of this river on their own, trying to look for like shorter, smaller, easier to cross places. And as Sebastian's walking along, he finds a spot that like just seems shallower, and like he steps out onto it, and it's about ankle deep, and he can keep walking, and there's like that's like a little pre-rapids point where he can cross across this river just to that ankle deep length. And I think that like the shot that we see is the other members of the Fellowship on the bank looking at Sebastian like walking on water across this river. And like, there's probably like that little look of recognition between the pair. Like, oh, is this
that's
the magic?
Lovely. All right, and then I'm guessing you hang a rope across for them to come through.
No, I think that like it's once it reaches the other end, he just like, no, if you go down that way, you can walk across. Like,
Perfect.
It's shallow.
Perfect. All right. You need to ask to Alex, and then Alex will get to ask to whoever she'd like, and then that'll be our long journey.
Me gets to ask Alex.
You do?
Brilliant. Alex, there's a point where we probably somewhere after that community that was abandoned, that the spiders had taken, we had expected to stock up, and so we get to a point where we're out of food and water, and we're probably like a day or two into that, so we're starting to see the strength waning, and man, I have no idea what a dragon or a spider would look like when they're hungry, but I imagine it's not pleasant. What happens? How do we get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone gets hangry. So I mentioned there's a lot of arguing about it as we're like trudging down the road and we haven't eaten in ages. And so we all have this massive argument and split off and go our like separate ways to go and get food. So you see each of the characters like hunting their own prey. So like you see Vera like building a web to trap some mountain goats. Fifth like flying to catch some rabbits. Like Sebastian and I and Freya hunting like normal people. And we each come back with like these nice smiles on our faces around like a roaring fire one of us is starting. Just like hurls all this food on top of it.
I love it. And so all of you with your various skills bringing back for the whole fellowship. I love that. And now present a problem, and anyone except Sid, since he's already answered already asked twice, we'll let one of the other two get an extra answer.
Right. Well, it looks like there's some mountains, or at least some mountain crossings in our way. But, you know, it's been some pretty bad weather recently. And so when we get to the crossing, we see that there's been this massive landslide. And the way we need to go through is just completely blocked off. Yeah. What on earth do we do, Ryan?
It takes a minute for Vera to realize that this is a problem for anyone else because, yeah, she's got so many legs. You can just kind of climb her way up. It's not a big deal. But after realizing that perhaps the others can't just climb up, she kind of climbs back down and weaves a strange sort of like ladder web that it's a little sticky and uncomfortable to the touch, but you can really easily climb your way up past the boulders if necessary.
Oh, very nice. That is super cool. And so as the fellowship climbs up this web ladder and over the hills to look down into the valley there, we can see in the distance the lake. But around the lake, we can see there's an encampment. There are no fires in this encampment. The Endless do not need fires. They don't bring tents. Instead, it's as though they've taken the earth and daubed it into these kind of cylindrical, like upturned bowl type structures. But you can see there are dozens of them walking around the lake, even from this distance. Perhaps for some of you, the first time seeing them, they're so, even to you, Vero, they're alien. You see them walking in very like formations and almost like you see with flocks of birds or schools of fish. Their interactions are almost like they're synchronized. But there's no doubt what they're doing. They are building a massive earthen causeway heading towards the center of the lake. And I think that's where we're going to end tonight. As the Fellowship is looking down and Crix's forces are moving to take this source. Because I would like for us to go over and see what the end of session is like. And after we've done that, I think we've pretty much gone over the rules. I did get a message from Brendan about an hour and 45 minutes into us playing to say that he was very sorry that he hadn't... I saw it an hour and 45. I think he wrote me an hour and a half. But that he's sorry he missed it. He, something came up sort of thing. Asked if I wanted him to join. I was like, let me have you come in fresh next time. So we'll have Brendan with us next time. I just felt like halfway through it, I'd been through so much already. Seemed like a wise idea. So he'll be with us hopefully next time. But I want to go over our end of session, which is in those in our basic moves. And you'll see down there under Taken Out is end of session. When we reach the end of the session, the Fellowship will answer 3 questions. Did we save or protect a community in need? We didn't really manage to do that this time. In fact, the only community we saw were quite gone, and there were just cobwebs lying about. So unless someone has an argument otherwise, I think we didn't get that one.
We're not very good heroes yet.
Again, I'm kind of going over this so we could see it. It's not to be expected we get a bunch this time, but I think we're going to get one. Did we strike a blow against the Overlord and their minions? Probably haven't managed to do that yet. Going to have a good chance of it next time, though. And finally, did we learn more about the world and its people? Lord, yes. We learned all about the world and its people. So that's 1. So we answered 1, and for every yes answer we have, we get a set of options. Each Fellowship player can refresh 1 piece of gear to its full value. We haven't used any gear, probably not worthwhile. This will come up later, though. Each Fellowship player chooses 1 stat hill. It doesn't have to be theirs, and that's important. We can heal other people or your companions if you end up having companions, things like that. Worth noting, if we sit around and we fill our belly and share a meal, then we're able to do 1 more healing during the fill the belly thing. We have 1 extra to just pass around. And finally, the Fellowship and the Overlord each choose 1 player to level up. You cannot be chosen to level up if you are the highest level player, or you have already been chosen to level up this session. What that means is we're going to keep things pretty much even. It's how I read it. It could be interpreted a little bit, but that's how I read it. Is we're all going to stay within kind of 1 of each other whenever we get a chance. One of the choices will be me. If I choose 1 person, you'll choose 1 person if we choose this. Figure that you guys will choose 1 of you rather than helping me. We could figure this first time around, when we first do it, I'm going to choose me rather than 1 of you. However, from then on, until everybody's back equal, whenever I make my choice, it'll still have to be 1 of you. I can't get above you any more than you can get above each other. So that's how that plays out. I think that, the advancement is probably our best choice, since we don't really need the other 2. So, unless there's objections, do we think we'll choose that one? Okay. Who would you guys like to advance amongst the party?
Everyone got that 1 cool move that they just had to pass up.
Any nominations or?
man, I don't know. I think it should definitely be one of the three of you, because you guys are the power. You're the strength. You're the skill of this group.
I feel like I want to nominate Theth because I feel like being a hatchling dragon, you need like all the the power.
Yes.
Sure, I'll second nominating Theth. That
All
sounds
right.
good.
Sounds like then, Theth, you have gone up a level. And so, once you picked all your 4, you're now going to have the advanced, which you'll see on your character sheet. It has some options on your playbook, which will be things like, let's see, where is it? There they are. Dragon advancements, it says there, which you can take up, increase your courage or your sense by 1 to a maximum +3, increase any of one of your others or any of your stats by 1 to a maximum of 3. You have 2 more choices for your customs. You have 1 for a custom or ask another player to share a move with you. You have 1 where you share a move of yours with another player. And then when you reach 5th level, if we get there, you have that chance to your change. And that's when we'll go into destinies. And we'll see if we get to a destiny. We may not. That's 5 levels. Seems unlikely. But I'm not going to make you choose now, but you'll have a chance here over the next week to use your advancement. And I would like for everybody to, if you get a chance, look over that gear and go ahead and let's pick it out between sessions, so that when we start off, I'll ask you what your gear's looking like. Keep in mind, you can have, I think the dragon has almost got to take a companion, or I think there might even be a cult you could have following you around or something. But we'll have some followers. We'll build a bond with them. And we'll have Brendan, who we will intertwine into the fellowship. But my primary hope here is that since we've kind of gotten all these rules in, most of this is going to be play. And I'm going to have Brendan sort of learn as we go. So, folks, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind. I am not going to do a Wishes and Stars per se, or a Roses and Thorns, but I would like to kind of do, I guess, just like a wish instead of the Wishes and Stars. What are you seeing so far from the game, and what would you really like for us to focus on and see neat things in our sessions coming up? And I'm going to start off with you, Sid, and then we'll just work our way up, and I'll finish us out.
Wishes. At some point, not necessarily the next session, but I do need like scenes where you guys talk me through using your most unlikely moves, so that I get to like shoot webs or fly or whatever. But otherwise, I would love to see you guys getting yourselves into trouble, giving me opportunities to tell you that what you're doing is a bad idea, and then doing it anyway, so that I can come and rescue you. Would be fun.
Cool. Ryan, anything you'd like to see out of it from me, or from, flagging stuff?
It's probably pretty obvious, but I want to see more of this weird dynamic between the squire and the dragon, because they have sort of this bizarre old married couple / parental sort of thing, and I am all here for that.
Excellent. I do too. Haley, any flags or wishes that I would do something of?
Yeah, I'm excited to see everybody interact, and what the party dynamic is like. I think it is very much part of this game, but I'm really enjoying the world building stuff and how that informs our characters and their motivations too.
Cool. Alrighty. And Alex, any flags or wishes that I do?
Yeah, seconding on Haley's thing about like I'm really really interested in learning about like the lore we're gonna make about this world.
Cool. Excellent. And for mine, what I really do hope is that we get some chances to get into some emotion. I want us to, obviously I want us to get a little combat in. It's always nice to sling a sword somewhere in there, but I really want us to kind of have to deal with the emotions of being this group together with kind of some separate goals and certainly some separate attitudes towards the world. And I want to, my big wish out of myself is I want to make sure I'm giving all of you and conveying to all of you that this is your story to tell. I want us always to feel like we can just throw stuff in there. That command lore is I think, one of the real tells of this game, is that we're all telling the story together. And so I want us to feel free to do that. And so I'm gonna try and be as inviting for that as possible. All right. Well, I had a whole bunch of fun. I'm so glad y'all played.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for running this for us. And
we will be back in a week, and plenty of excitement ahead for our fellowship. And so I'm going to stop broadcast now. And for those of you, the 4 of you that are watching, thanks.